All right, so thank you everyone for joining us tonight for a Q&A with Sara Davison, the divorce coach. So we're here tonight to talk all things breakup, separation, whether it's divorce or just separating from your partner and how to kind of move on and heal from that. So I'll pass over to Sara to introduce herself a bit more and talk about what she does, and then we'll dive straight into questions.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Well, thanks for inviting me. I really loved doing the takeover a couple of months ago, so it's great to be invited back. I am Sara Davison, best known as the divorce coach. So I help people go through any kind of breakup, whether it's short-term, long-term, heartbreak, separation, or divorce. I am the author of 2 best-selling books, The Uncoupling and The Split. And I also have a podcast, which is #1 in Ireland at the moment and #2 in the UK podcast charts, called Heartbreak to Happiness, which is packed full of free content. So if you like some of the things you hear on this, then do tune in to iTunes and download the podcast. And yeah, it's got lots of free content in there. So yeah, I'm here today just to help answer your questions.
Fab, thank you. Okay, so we've had a few questions in from the community, and everyone will leave some time at the end as well. If you want to submit any questions, feel free to do so either in the chat box or when we open it up later on. You can just unmute yourself and ask your question. It's up to you. So first up, Frolo has asked, is it ever possible to heal fully from the pain of your husband having an affair, and then moving in with the woman he had an affair with, and how to deal with your child spending time with them as this new family of 3?
Yes. Okay. So everything I do is for men and women. I know they've got some men on here, so it's not it's not like it only works for women or it only works for men. It doesn't. It works the same, and I work with both male and female clients. So is it ever possible to fully heal from the pain of your husband having an affair? Yes, absolutely. It is 100% possible to 100% heal from your husband or wife having an affair. But it is painful. Okay, and I know that because I've been there. I know exactly how painful it is. And yes, he then moved in with the woman that he had the affair with. So I do know how painful this is. I'm talking from experience. I've been there. I've had those ugly crying moments on the floor where you just fall apart and you can't cope. And I know that rejection and that pain you go through. So when you're going through it and for a while afterwards, you're in the stage where it feels like you will never get over it. Okay, that is normal. It is totally normal to hurt and for it to hurt a lot. And time is a good healer, but there are definitely things you can do to speed that up. I'm going to cover some of them in this session here with you tonight, but please know that you can. But it is normal for it to really hurt, and it kind of has to really hurt for you to grieve it and work through it. Okay, so don't think that it's always going to feel like this because it feels like it right now, because it won't. And I know that seems impossible because there is no light at the end of the tunnel right now. The future is either a blank canvas or a black hole. So either way, we've got to throw a lot of color onto if it's a blank canvas, or shine a very bright light if it's a black hole. But we have to do that. But that's going to take a bit of time. So depending where you are in that phase, if you're so early days, I mean sort of 3 months, it's super painful, and it's one of those things that you have to sort of grin and bear it, get out, exercise, surround yourself with people who love you and are going to make you feel good. Now there's a difference between people who love you and make you feel bad. Okay, so you've got to really be conscious about who you're hanging around with. They might not intentionally want to make you feel bad, and most of them don't, but we all have people in our lives that kind of sort of, I call them energy vampires, kind of suck your energy out a bit, and you just feel a bit even lower than you did before. So in these times, just be really consciously aware who you're spending your time with, and make sure that the majority of it is for people who can pull you up. Or if you're FaceTiming in lockdown or whatever, make sure that those precious moments you have with other people are those people that can lift you up. Also, so the first few months, you're going to just expect it's going to be really painful, okay? You're going to go through that period, but know that you'll come out the other side then, as long as you keep your exercise going and surrounding yourself with good people, looking after yourself in those initial days, taking those baths, not leaning too much on the bottle of wine, but having a glass, just to relax yourself. Those things are okay. but you have to grieve to be able to get through to the next stage. If you just shove it down or try and, or or don't react or just bottle it all up, it will come out in other ways. So it's okay to let it out, but then moving forward, it gets easier. Now, as you go on, there's some key things that will keep you stuck, okay? These things are telling your sad story over and over again. Now, I'm not diminishing the sadness of your story, because I know it's sad. A lot of the stories I hear every day are traumatic. But the more we tell it, the more we relive it. So we go back into the whole emotions of, oh, I know the story. Your brain will say, oh, I know the story. It hurts. It makes me cry. I feel sad. So it just takes you back to those times and you re-experience those emotions. Now, this includes, I mean, luckily we can't see the hairdresser now, but poor hairdressers, like everyone moans to their hairdresser and retells their story. But whoever it is at the moment, whether it's the post lady or the Amazon delivery guy, just stop telling your story. Just choose a few key people and don't keep repeating it, because it will keep you stuck. Don't keep talking about your ex whether you're on the phone. Don't use your ex's name. Shorten it. Okay, names have so much emotional intensity. If you keep using the name, it's going to trigger you. And as time goes on, the pain and the hurt that this lady's talking about in her question will dissipate, as well as she's doing the other things that I'm talking you through. But there will be triggers, okay, because this is a real life painful situation. Someone's done something to you which really genuinely hurts, okay? So it's maybe for some of you, you'll never forgive or whatever, but you've got to accept that it's what has happened. But there will be triggers, like they'll treat you badly, or they'll move dates around for access, or with the kids, or they'll say something mean, or something will happen and it will trigger those emotions. That's called being human, okay? So expect that you're going to have feelings, because if you didn't, you'd be a robot or a narcissist. So, they're bad. So what we want to do is make sure that you're healthy and functioning, that you do have emotions and empathy, and it's okay to feel hurt if someone's treated you badly. But what we don't want is that to hold you back and you to drag that baggage into other relationships, or keeping you stuck and never moving forward. So come off the social media. Please stop social media self-harming by following them, by going in via friends. I know some people can do that as well. You can go in via friends, see what they did yesterday. No, just off social media. Try and take a break, because it's like picking a scalp. You're just going to keep on experiencing the pain. You don't want to see what they're doing. And to be honest, everyone on social media is glossy and happy. So, you're never going to see the fact that they are missing you, or there are things they regret. But you don't want that anyway. Come off it. We've got to start shifting your focus onto the future, onto putting some colour onto that blank canvas. So that's how you move forward. Now, dealing with your child spending time with another person is, of course, going to be extremely hard, okay? But there's one thing you've got to bear in mind here, is that the most important thing is what's best for your child or children. The best thing is, and I know this is really tough, I really know how tough it is because I've been there, but the best thing is that they treat your kid well. If they are nice to your child or children, then that is a really good thing, okay? Because you want your child to be happy and you want them to be able to experience new things. Now, if that person isn't being kind to your child, then that is a more difficult situation to navigate. But obviously we don't have time to go into all that here, but obviously I can help you with that if that's your situation. But ideally they go and they don't have to be the best step parent in the world, or new girlfriend, new boyfriend in the world, but they have to be nice, So if they're being nice to your child enjoys being around them, even for short periods of time, that's okay. It's how we feel is very different. So as parents, we'll do a lot more for our children than we will for ourselves. So trying to focus on the fact that they are kind to your kids is really important. The other thing that can get to be quite fun is, and I know this is hard, believe me, I know it's hard, but when you meet this person, be super nice. Kill them with kindness. Say things like, oh, I heard that you baked cookies with them the other day. Oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you so much. You watch their eyes going, what the, who the, what? Like, they won't know what to say or do, especially if your relationship with your ex is difficult. They're going to be thinking, well, I thought this person was supposed to be a bit mean or difficult, but oh my God, they're so nice. So it's a kind of a game just to be as nice as possible, just to see their reaction. So that can be a good thing. But how you deal with it is you have to get your own life back. Okay, if you shut the door, the house is quiet. Well, that is going to drive you mad. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to have a purpose. As soon as the door's shut, your children have gone off, and whatever they're doing with whoever they're doing it with, you then have a focus to be the man, the woman you are, not mum, not dad, not worrying about anyone else, but focusing on you. So what is it you can do in that time to have some fun, to do something that's productive, to get those jobs done you haven't done yet? But you've got to have something to do. So whether it's you save your shop so that as soon as they're gone, you've got to get in the car and do something. Okay, don't close the door and then sit there and put on your sad tunes and feel sorry for yourself, because that's going to make you feel worse. I know you might feel like doing it. And when it happens next time, you'll shut the door and you'll go, oh, I know Sara said don't do this, but you're going to feel that way. But it's about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to get stronger. And sometimes you do have to push yourself a bit. Or make sure you've got a friend who's going to FaceTime you, or a bubble family if you're a single parent. You can get them to pop round and see you, or get in the car and go and see them. But make sure you've got something to do, because if your child is spending time with them, then if they're happy, you can get on with your life. Okay, and we need you to start having your own life so you're not thinking about that so much. So that would be definitely something that would really help in that situation. But you know, it isn't an easy one, but if it's not easy, then it means you're caring and you're a warm, compassionate human being, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means we've got to get our Teflon suits on and zip them up and just get you a little bit stronger. And
I know
you can
sad songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I guess moving on, you know, we touched on, you know, how you deal with your child spending time with, you know, the ex and their new partner. How do you co-parent positively with someone who left you for someone else?
It's a really good question. Again, you've got to put what's best for the kids first. So it's kind of like you have to strip out all those emotions and treat it almost like a job. Like imagine you're at work and you had to work with someone that had done something that wasn't very nice, or maybe you didn't like very much, or maybe you absolutely detest them, but you've got to do this thing because you're getting paid to do it. Well, in this situation, you've got to do it because it's best for your kids. It is best for your kids, however difficult it can be at times, to have a relationship with both parents, so that they grow up knowing both of you, because they are half of each of you, right? So however hard it might be and however hurt you might feel, what's best for the kids has to come first. So if you can focus on that as a starting point, it will help as a parent. However, how do you co-parent positively with someone who's being an absolute nightmare is a different question. I'm not sure what lies behind this question, but if someone is a difficult parent to co-parent with, like for example, they change times on you for access, they could always undermine you, maybe they badmouth you, maybe their partner's a nightmare, maybe they're a nightmare, then obviously that can be really difficult. Now, we cannot control what our exes are doing. We can't control what they're saying, can't control what they're typing, we can't control who they're sleeping with, who they're spending time with, what they're doing with your kids. We can't control that. Unfortunately, in some cases, but we can't. So we can only worry about the things that we can control. So what can we control? We can control what you're focusing on and what you do and how you react to the situation. So maybe have a think if your behavior is fueling their behavior. Sometimes certain personality types will get a kick out of seeing you upset or being difficult because you give them a reaction, and maybe that's the only real connection they still have with you, so they play that card every time. Don't give them a reaction in that case. Just say, okay, that's interesting, right? Now, you can't control what they do, but you can control your side. So, for example, I've got a client at the moment whose ex keeps moving the time with the kids every time. So they don't know what they're doing, coming or going. It's very difficult for her to manage her children with that situation. So what you have to work out is, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, and set your boundaries. Say, you know, this is the time you can have them. You either show up or you don't show up. Yeah, if you're not there, then we won't be available. So that's just the situation. you can't, obviously, as much as you want to promote contact, if someone's going to mess you around, then you've got to stand strong and have your own boundaries. So working out what you want and having those boundaries in place with a degree of flexibility, of course, because any relationship needs flexibility to be sustainable, is really key. Also, not bad mouthing the other parent is really important. What I do in situations with clients where their ex is bad mouthing them and their behavior is bad, is just make sure you set your values in your home the way you want them. So maybe it's no shouting, no lying, no bullying, whatever it is, that's your rule in your house. Now, you don't have to say, at so-and-so's house, they do that and that's wrong. What you need to do is just say, in our house, that is not acceptable. And the grandparents don't agree, and your teachers don't agree, and our friends and people that come into our home, they don't agree with that. This is how life should be. So kids learn very well by contrast, okay? Now, you've got to think about whether, if you've got different bedtimes, different amounts of screen time, different ways of homeschooling, those sort of things are pretty small in the big scale of things. In a couple of years' time, even 6 months' time, you'll look back and go, oh, well, they went to bed an hour later. So what? Yeah, you might have to pick up the pieces. You might have kids that are tired or unhappy or they don't want to go. But ultimately, you can't control that. What you can do, though, is you can parallel parent, okay, which basically means agreeing on the big picture stuff, which is like, schools, which schools are they going to go to, and what kind of health care would you have in place of them, those sort of things. But the little things like screen time and bedtime, you just let it go and you think, oh, in my home, I'm going to do it this way, and they'll do what happens in that house there. But kids are much more resilient than we give them credit for. They will get through it. They will adapt. Yes, there's ups and downs, but there's ups and downs when they grow up. So if they can learn these tools when they're young, that life isn't the same and everybody does things differently, rather than living sometimes in this little naive bubble that when they come out to the real world, they're like, oh, life isn't working out the way I thought it would. At least they're going to have some resources. They've learned as they've grown up, they've toughened up a bit, not too much, obviously, but there is a lot of scientific research that proves that children who have had, a bit of a tough time, not homeless and hungry, but, a tough time, maybe going like with a divorce between two homes or adjusting to difficult people in their lives, they actually go on to be more successful, more settled, more balanced, because they make better decisions because they've learned when they're younger. And they're not having this sort of this spike at the moment in teenage suicide, when one thing goes wrong in your life and you just can't cope and that's it, you're out the door. That's what's going to be avoided if they're learning these toughening up skills. And guess who they learn them from? You, the parent, the role model. They're looking at you every day. How is mum, how is dad reacting? Yeah, mum's being difficult. Dad's being a bit of a pain. Dad hasn't turned up. Mum isn't there. What do? They're learning. Okay, and if you can just be there to show them the right way, how to pick themselves up, how to cheer themselves up, how to cope, how to, dial themselves down, how to dial their emotions down when they're stressed, and how to, little things like body language changes. Like if you feel sad, do 5-star jumps, it'll change how you feel. If you can teach your kid those tools, it is so, so powerful, really is. And as they grow up, it'll become normal because they just absorb it like sponges. Mm-hmm. They're not like us, like going, oh, I've got to learn something new. And I don't know about you with homeschooling. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even remember how to do algebra. I'm gonna have to learn. It takes me hours. Whereas, they're little sponges. They pick this stuff up and then they'll use it. Mm-hmm. And they'll use it on you. Like the other day, I had a really tough phone call and I came off and my son was like, you don't look very happy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just, that was awful. He goes, right, mummy, we're going to do that thing to cheer you up. And he puts on his favourite music, which is mine as well. We're like dancing around, banging out on the speakers at home. He goes, there you go, you're happy now. And gave him a big hug. And he goes, see you later. So, the kids just absorb this stuff and they surprise you sometimes by like being the little mini coach. It's brilliant. So there's sometimes the toughest things in your life that you're managing, if you can sort of flip them, they can actually become the best things in a way that they not only teach you a lesson, but they can help you become that better parent and step up and become, as a single parent, you've got to step up. You can't be doing some of the things like you used to do when you were married because there's no one else to pick up the slack. So you've got to step up, and that can be tough, but it also is very rewarding. Mm-hmm. So yes, lots of positives to being a single parent. I love it.
Absolutely, thank you. The next one is, my ex has just informed me that he is expecting a baby with his new girlfriend. How do I get through this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know whether she still cares about him, or she's fine, or she's met someone else. I mean, again, very much it is moving the focus away from them and onto you. The more you spend time thinking about them, the more painful it's going to be. When my ex told me that his girlfriend was pregnant, it was probably 3 months or something after we'd split up. So I mean, my son was 1. I didn't see it coming at all. So I was completely blindsided, and it is painful to think that somebody else is going to move on and you're sort of left going, okay, well, okay, right. That's painful. But again, it's about what can you control? You can't control what they're doing. One of the things I have learned through working with so many thousands of people around the world with these sort of situations is that it's rarely as happy as we think it is. Like, when they're suddenly announcing they're having a baby, well, it may not have been planned. And think about it. They've got your kids to consider as well in some cases, or they've got other things to juggle. Maybe it wasn't what they wanted. Maybe it's just happened. So it's rarely as happy and as rosy and as romantic as we will put onto that situation, which makes it worse for us. So we have to take off our rose-tinted glasses and look at it as in, okay, that's happening and I'm not comfortable with it, but now I really need to push the foot down on my own life, on the accelerator pedal, to get through this tough time, because I need to get back up and running. I want to be in a position where I can have those things if that's what you want. It's not about what they're doing. It's about what you're doing and taking your control back over your life. So you're not living your life looking in the rear view mirror about him and her and what they're doing. It's about, what am I doing? What have I got coming up? So writing your breakup bucket list is a really fun thing to do. So everything you can do now that you could never have done when you were with your ex. Now that could be, I don't know, one of my clients is wearing leather trousers. Her ex hated leather trousers, called all sorts of names whenever she got this pair of trousers out. So now she wears them in all different colors and she's absolutely loving it. Another client of mine, a male client, he wanted to climb Everest. He wasn't allowed to. His wife really, understandably, it's quite dangerous, and they had kids, but as soon as he was older, she left him anyway, and he started climbing at a local club. He hasn't actually got to Everest yet, but he's loving it. He's doing all the things that he wishes he could have done, he could never have done in his relationship. So again, taking time to shift your focus and realize that now is the time. In some ways it's quite final. Someone having a baby, it's like, right, well, I've got to get on with my life. So moving on it can give you that kick. So some ways it can be a positive to get you back up and running on your own life and focusing on what's important to you.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, could I please have some advice on what to do in the first few days, weeks, and then months since the breakup? For example, things like a list of bills to sort, put in my name, all this Frolo's money goes into the joint account, and basically they've got no idea where to start. So is there kind of some key advice of things that you recommend people do in those first few kind of weeks and months?
Yeah, don't panic. I have clients that have been divorced for 5-10 years and still haven't changed their bank account name and detail. Honestly, really don't panic. The world is not going to come to an end if you don't crack on with this. But divorce admin is a really good thing to do, to sort of declutter and let go of some of those things, okay? Because actually there's something quite therapeutic about getting your own bank account and taking their name off the bills. Because actually we've got to look at triggers, okay? So if you get something through the mail and it's got both of your names on it, it can trigger you. You could be having a great day and then that comes up and it says Mrs. or whatever. Mrs. for women can sometimes trigger you to go, oh, well, I'm not Mrs. anymore. So if your name changes and you want to change it, then you can go and do those things, because it will actually help you to get your own stamp, your own name on things. It's strange, but it really does make a difference. So the sort of things that you might want to do, first priority would probably be set up your own bank account if you've only got joint bank accounts, because that will give you a little bit of independence. Nobody's watching what you spend. That's, again, quite a nice feeling. But don't worry about it. There's no pressure. What I would say is get a friend to help you if you're worried about those kind of things. The bank account and the bills, how do you know where to start? Well, I always recommend getting your last bank statement and just working through, electricity bill. Okay, who do I need to phone for that? Right, well, I can put that on my list. And tick one off a day. You don't need to phone everybody in one day. to be honest, you've got a while usually in these situations to sort things out. So just work through it at your own pace. But again, having a list and ticking things off is also quite therapeutic. Getting rid of your excess stuff from your house is also something that I would recommend in the early days, because again, it's those trigger points. So maybe they've got some clothes still there, or even in the loft, there might be something, or in the back of a cupboard, there might be something. This is your time just to get it. Now, don't chop it up like one of my clients did not so long ago. Turned up with a bootload of clothes chopped up. Her best friend had come over the night before and they'd gone to town. And she turned up, it was her first session with me that she turned up for. She goes, look, look. She sort of popped the boot. And I was like, okay. Like, long-term consequences, not good. But short-term impact, she felt great. But it did backfire on her. So what I'm saying is take the stuff out. You can fold it up, put it in a suitcase, put it back in the loft or in storage or give it back. But you just need your own space back. So working your way through sort of establishing your own private space is really important. It will help you declutter. Your house will help you declutter your mind. It's like that kitchen drawer, it's anything like mine. It's just packed full of things, you know, like leads to charge things you don't even own anymore, and batteries that you don't know actually work, or pens with no ink in them. Like, it's, if you just spend like 10 minutes clearing it out, it's going to make a difference to how you feel. So those things are important. So the divorce admin, don't put too much pressure on you in the early days, but it's definitely something that will help as you work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. The next question is, my ex-husband has a porn addiction. I'm worried about his relationship with our son. What boundaries should I be setting around visitation? Is it sometimes better for the child not to have a relationship with the father?
Look, this is a really tough question, because there isn't enough information. Like, I don't know how old the kid is. Like, if the kid's 1 or 2, it's going to make a very big difference if the kid's like 12, you know. So yeah, and your conversations with your kids have to be based on you know, not only their age, it has to be age appropriate, but sometimes, you know, kids in situations like this may have to learn some grown-up stuff a little bit earlier than you would potentially want them to, but that's okay too if it's done in the right way. Now, all kids should have a relationship with each parent, because it's up to them to follow that journey. Now, their dad may be dysfunctional in this case. In lots of other cases, it's the mother that's dysfunctional, but in this case, it's the mum, it's the dad. So as a parent, you want to protect your child. You want to bubble wrap them so that nothing can ever hurt them. But in reality, that is actually more damaging to kids. So it's about having those open, honest conversations. Now, obviously, at 2, 3, 4, there isn't, you know, I mean, there's not a lot you can do at that age. But as kids get older, they're going down, and it's a son. So, you know, he's going to become more aware of pornography and sex and those sort of things. So having a conversation with him as soon as that is appropriate with that particular child, to say, look, you know, this is what sex is, this is what all those things are. Having those conversations maybe a little bit earlier so that they understand it. You want them to understand the right values, and you want them to get the message from you, okay? Because if someone's got a challenge with that area, their explanations might be very different. You want to make sure that you set the tone for their beliefs. Now, kids, well, all human beings form their beliefs by the age of 7. So they've already decided what they believe about certain things. The foundations are set for the adult. After the age of 7, we're looking purely for evidence to back up the beliefs we already have. So it's harder to change beliefs after that age. So you want to really start talking about, you know, and establishing trust and sort of morals, being kind and what's right and what's wrong, and doing it not referring to your ex, but to real life situations. Maybe in the playground, if someone's the bully, you could say, and someone's done something maybe in a movie you're watching with them. There's a lot of kids movies now which teach about bullying and things, but within a story. So you can say, look, you know, this sort of situation isn't right, this is right, this isn't right. So they learn their morals and their values, and they've got them set, and they've got that relationship where they can talk to you about things. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to having those really difficult, sometimes embarrassing conversations about the birds and the bees, you can set them straight about, you know, those sort of things. So that when they go off, and, you know, kids now are on their phones, they're on the internet, they can get Wi-Fi, you know, you can't always put enough restrictions on so they don't see these kind of things. So I always believe that having a conversation, especially if they're, if it's a boy's 10, 11, 12 upwards, you can have the conversations like that, explain what pornography is, explain how it works, no details, no emotion, just factually. And then if you see that, then come tell me. I want you to come off it and you come tell me. Okay? And, and it's simple like that. Not bringing the other parent in, like he's addicted to this is his problem, it's wrong, da, da, da. Just the facts, just saying it's not, it's not suitable for children. So when it happens, which it might do, you're not in trouble, no one's going to be cross with you, but I want you to stop watching it and come and tell me. That's it. Just have those conversations and maybe highlight it to key people in his life that he may want to confide in and talk to, like teachers, if you've got a male teacher at school, or the head of pastoral care, or a grandparent, somebody that kid might go to, maybe they're friendly with their sports coach or whatever. Just asking people to be aware and to keep an eye out as well will also give you another set of eyes and ears on that problem. But again, you can't worry about those things. What you can do is put protection in place and create an environment where it's okay for them to come and talk to you. And that's not just porn, but it could be, if you've got a very difficult ex who treats people badly, or they're unkind in some way, or they're, drink a lot, or they're smoking too much, or whatever, any of those behaviors, you can just flag that up and make sure your kid knows that if they don't feel comfortable, then that's okay, but tell someone, talk to someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And then the next one is, how do I manage the heartbreak of my boyfriend leaving when 19 weeks pregnant and isolating alone?
Yeah, now I see quite a few clients in this situation, and it is super tough because you've got the emotions are all over the place anyway, because being pregnant, you're really out of control of your emotional state most of the time, in my experience. And you're dealing with a lot of things, and fear of the unknown. As all human beings, we're all scared of what we don't know, of uncertain of the future. And having a new baby is going to change your life. So I think the important thing is to the things you're worried about, if that's maybe finances or being alone. And I know that this lady's isolating at the moment, so she is alone a lot. It's about facing those areas and trying to find solutions for the things that really scare you. And this is the same for everybody listening, because as human beings, we tend to run away from the things that we're scared of. So at the moment, a lot of people are worried about money. So we don't want to think about it. We want to talk about it, la, 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 la. Don't talk to me about money, because we're worried. But that only creates more stress, because that black cloud will follow you around, and it will hit you when you're asleep, and you'll have nightmares, and it will just, little things will trigger you. The best thing to do is face up to the things we're scared of, almost like the bully in the playground, because once you stand up to them and say, hang on, I need to know more about this. I need to get more clarity on what's going on here. How much money will I have? How will I survive? Having a new baby is going to cost me this. Working out a plan of, right, this is what I need. And even if we don't like what we find, at least we're clear on the situation. And then we can have another plan to work out how we're going to close that gap. Whether that's, I better cut back on this, or maybe I can create an extra income stream, or maybe my friend can help me. Whatever it is, you can find a solution. And not knowing creates more problems. So if there are, because again, it's a very short question, it's a great question, but it's very short. So if there are specific things that you're worried about, go and figure it out, ask for help. If it's, when you've got a friend or a parent or a grandparent who's great with numbers and can just sit down and help you with the money. If you're worried about being on your own, then it is about reaching out and setting up support groups. There are lots of support groups for women in this situation on Facebook. So I would have a look and see who else is out there. I mean, Frolo is obviously a great place to go. I'm sure there's other Frolo members who are in the same situation. I definitely have a lot of clients in that situation. But also, this in some ways, this is a good thing, because if someone's going to leave you, and they leave you when you've got a baby and you're halfway through, at least they've gone. Now you've got the whole thing you can do. I know it's daunting to do it on your own, but that bond you get as a single parent, and there's going to be lots of people on here that will vouch for that, the bond you get as a single parent is something that you would never have been given that gift if you were with your partner. The ability to have that quality one-on-one time with your kids and really know your kids, and for them to really know you, and to be able to set your own rules and boundaries and morals and your own fun, quirky things to do and traditions, those sort of things you get to do on your own without someone telling you you're wrong or you're not doing it right or challenging you. You do have a freedom, which, when you're going through tough times, maybe you don't have that. So reach out to the people that can support you, create that bubble that you can have right now so that you do have some support. Don't be afraid to ask for it, even if it's friends, not maybe you don't have family around you. And then focus on all the really lovely things you're going to do when the baby arrives. And the peace and quiet and the loneliness you have now, well, that is short-lived because you're probably about 5 months pregnant. That's all going to disappear. So, you know, try and find the goods. I call it flip it, where no matter how tough something is, if you can look for the good thing in it and try and focus your attention on that as much as you can, it will help. But be kind to yourself, relax, you know, do the things you want to do for you right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's important.
Thank you. I've had a question come in on the chat actually, because we've gone through all of the submitted questions, but I've got one here. And if anyone else wants to submit one as well, just feel free to pop it in the chat, or I can open it up after this question. So this Frolo has 4 children under 10, and until there are no travel restrictions, lockdowns, quarantines, my ex will not be coming to the UK. This has been the case for most of the last year. What advice do you have for building your own life and moving on when in the situation where you are the solo parent?
Oh, it's a really good question. I mean, 4 kids under 10 is a lot. So, you know, that is going to be challenging. But, you know, when I say moving on and getting on with your life, they are your life, you know, and you've got 4 kids, which is amazing. And I've got clients who desperately want kids and can't have kids, or their partner's left them and they're at that age where their clock's ticking and they're so worried they'll never be able to meet, especially with lockdown. And, you know, legally, Boris has said that we're not even allowed to have sex with someone that doesn't live in our household. So, you know, it is really challenging for people that are really at that point where they really want to have kids right now. So again, shifting your focus to the fact that you have 4 amazing kids. I'm imagining it's going to be quite challenging at times, but hey, you'd rather have them than not. So, you know, looking at how you can really get to know each of your kids and using it rather than, you know, moving on with your life. Because I mean, it's not, at this time in life, there's not much with the pandemic that we can sort of go on and start creating. I mean, you can create an online business right now. You can train in some new skills. And if you can do that while they're homeschooling or sleeping or otherwise occupied, that would be great. So those sort of things are really taking off at the moment. I know that I've seen a lot of people coming to do my breakup and divorce coach training program because they're furloughed and they're powering through it in a couple of months and then going out to help people, because obviously there's a rise in demand for people needing help when they're breaking up. But if you've got kids at home and you're struggling, then use this as an opportunity to really get to know your kids. You know, they're all different personalities, and then to get to know yourself as well. So, you know, different things you can do with them to enjoy that time, rather than thinking, oh, this is a bit of a waste of time, which is what people I know are thinking, gosh, you know, this is a nightmare, how do I get through it? Well, maybe this is a learning experience for all of us. What can we do to have as much fun, but also get to know each other and go on a bit of a journey of self-discovery? I was interviewing Coach T. Anthony, who's got quite a big following on Instagram today. He's a dating coach in the States. And he was saying to me that, you know, a lot of us come out of relationships and want to jump straight into relationships, but he always recommends having a period of time where you just really go on self-discovery. And this sort of pandemic, isolation, lockdown, furlough is actually a great time to start thinking about what makes you tick, what you enjoy, what you want to do with your life now. So you've got some time now to think, right, when I'm allowed out the house and I can have my freedom back, what is it I want to do? And start thinking about it, because you'll get back into the daily routine of, gosh, like 4 different school runs, and you've got 4 different packed lunches and 4 different sports clubs and everything else. So as soon as all that kicks off, you're going to be back to hectic and not thinking about you. So, you know, whilst you can, I would try and take some time to start thinking about what you really want. A lot of us don't focus enough on what we want. It's about our kids all the time. What do they want? How do we support them and other people? Maybe it's parents we're looking after or friends that need us. But this is a good time to start looking internally. And you can do that, you know, while the kids are watching a movie, you can start thinking about things like that. It's not something that you have to make a, you know, time out with absolute silence. As you're cooking the dinner, you can start asking yourself better questions, like, when this is done, what do I want to do? Who do I want to become in 2021? You know, what do I want to achieve in 2021? And all those sort of questions you can do with 4 kids running around. You can do it.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions just now? Feel free to kind of unmute yourself and ask Sara anything you want.
Anyone? Let's see if anyone's brave enough to ask a question.
So I do, if you can hear me okay.
Yes, thank you.
Hi. Hi, my name's Kerry. So Sara has, this is almost by coincidence, Sara has helped me in the past. I know her, she's helped me, actually she's picked me up off the floor because I was one of those in a crying mess. So I went on her retreat about 4 years ago, and she has since helped me with the kids. So some of those questions, I almost felt like I'd sent them in. And I don't know who sent the question about the 4 kids, and I just wanted to say that was me last lockdown, and I actually reached out to Sara. My ex-husband was 600 miles away having a new baby with the person he betrayed me with, okay? So I was that person who was stuck in lockdown, homeschooling too. Okay, I've only got 50% of what you've got, but full-time job, and quite a stressful full-time job, homeschooling the 2 kids. And I was so annoyed at the fact that the other parent was absent that actually Sara said exactly that to me. Just use this as an opportunity to get close to the kids, and just think, whilst you don't have the help, you don't have the aggravation either, right? So this lockdown, I see it completely different, and I'm in a similar situation again, actually. But Sara, my question, please, if I may, something that you've told me I need to do many, many times, is dating again after divorce as a single parent with 2 kids who are 60% of the time with me, full-time job, just like many of us, and dating after a fairly betrayal, actually, quite a sore betrayal. So getting back out there and, you know, distraction and all that. Tell us a bit about that, and why you think it's a really good idea sooner rather than later, as you're always telling me.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's great to see you as always. Yeah, dating, guys, you know, when I'm talking about the blank canvas and the black hole, one of the things is you've got to get back out there. And I know it's not easy, and I know I can hear the comments like, well, dating online's for losers, and I'm embarrassed, why if so-and-so from work sees me on there, or, you know, I don't feel good enough, I'm not ready. Yeah, I'm not talking about being ready to get married again or get into another serious relationship. I'm just talking about you getting out there, because your ex, guys, is just one person on the entire planet, okay? There are so many other people out there for you. And if you listen to my podcast, because I talk a lot about dating and moving on, and my podcast, Heartbreak to Happiness, you'll know that a lot of other experts talking about this all say the same thing. They all say, look, you know, you've got to get back out there. You don't need to be ready to fall in love again. What you need to be is just getting out there and talking to other people, because what it does is it opens up your perspective. Now, there are some weirdos out there online, absolutely, and you are going to meet them, okay? So don't worry about it, it's going to happen. They are going to be weird. They might be married, they might say one thing and be another, they may not look anything like their picture. You know, I went on a date with someone who's 15 years older than the picture that he put on his profile, and I met him, and it was just so obvious. And the first thing he said was, look, I know I don't look like, you know, I know I've aged a bit. A bit? I was like, a bit? I mean, come on. Like, you look completely different. But, you know, you've got to think, you know, at least you're getting out there. You can, you know, you just dipping your toe in the water will boost your confidence. I promise you that. It will make you realize that there are other people out there. Yes, there's some weirdos, but there's also some really nice people. Now, they might be nice, but not attractive to you. But you can start chatting to people and testing out whether you have learned the lessons from your past. Okay, this is a really good playground, these dating apps, for just testing out if you have gone on that journey to fill the gaps in you and start to be more self-resilient. Because what you'll find is there'll be some red flags that come up. And if you've done my how to design your ideal partner exercise, which is really good, by the way, it's a really good safety net to do if you're going to start dating again. It's very simple. It's basically working out what you want, which we all know, right? You're going to know that you want tall, dark and handsome, or short, blonde, blue eyes. You're going to know what you want instantly, okay? But what do you need? It's very different. And this is where we look back at our past relationships and learn the lessons and bank them. Because otherwise life's just going to keep on slapping you around the face with the same lesson. And so you go, oh yeah, no, I get that now. I shouldn't really go for people that lie, or I'm not really good with people that aren't emotionally intelligent, or I really need a partner who can do this, because otherwise I just go down this rabbit hole and it never works. So really understanding that and knowing what you want and need. So write that down. And I mean, like, literally write it down, old-fashioned way, piece of paper, a pen, and just spend some time just playing with it. And then you're allowed the really important bit, 5 must not haves. 5 must not, which basically means if you spot one of these red flags, must not haves, what happens is automatically your parachute deploys from your back and you're parachuted out of there immediately. It's not, oh, but he's got nice eyes, I think I can change him. Oh, well, he did that to her, he's not going to do it to me. Oh, well, she said that, but I don't believe her. I don't think she'd do that. No. Learn the lesson, bank the lesson, unless you want to keep being taught the lesson, okay? So dating apps are a really good way to go out there and start matching with freaks, weirdos, and nice people to sort of see, when you get into the conversations, is my radar where it needs to be right now? Because we are protected by the pandemic in a way that we can't actually get into these romantic relationships more than a socially distanced walk if you're, following the rules. So therefore, we have to get to know people, which is a great way to practice. Now, if you're noticing that you're attracting a certain type of person, you better look at your profile and your profile pic. It's interesting that, most of us women will spend a good hour, maybe a bit more, getting ready, might go to the hairdressers, had our nails done, guys, hopefully you'll be taking a shower and ironing your shirt. We would take at least an hour minimum to get ready for a really good date, right? A date you're really excited about. How long do we take with our profile? Well, this old pic, yeah, that'll do. Oh yeah, I'm in the bathroom, never mind, that'll do. Just, oh yeah, I'll filter that. Oh, profile pic, yeah, like walking, done, 20 minutes, your profile's up. That is not a good reflection of you, right? So really need to take some time thinking about what you want the image to be, so you're attracting the right people. And look at the pictures that you're looking at with your potential partner and just see, are they sprawled half naked on a bed? If so, that's the message that they're trying to give you, that this is not for a long-term relationship. If that's what you want, don't go there. If that is what you want, knock yourself out. But you've just got to tune in and really look at and learn and spot the signs, right? Because once you do that, this is a game to get yourself back up and running. I'm not talking about being disingenuous, being honest with people. If you don't want a serious relationship, put it in your profile. If you do, then put it in your profile. You won't get the time wasters. So just be honest and upfront. And if you don't like someone, be honest. Just look, this isn't working for me, but wish you all the best. So, I've got a friend that might like to have a FaceTime with you if you want to do that. But, go on the apps, dip your toe in the water, start practicing, because otherwise when we get back out there, we're going to have forgotten how to do any of this stuff. And you don't want to get back out there and just pick the first human being that shows you a sign of affection and has a pulse, because that's not going to work either. We've got to put the groundwork in now to get to know ourselves, but also knowing what's out there, and start chatting to people, having a bit of a flirt, doing some video dates, dinner, or, just, I don't know, having a glass of wine, just make it fun. Get out there and test the water. And Kerry, you need to do this. You really need to do it, because it's fun,
Yes.
guys. It's fun. There's very little fun we can have right now, right? And it's all good fun. So highly recommend it.
Thank you. Noted again.
Good.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions they would like to ask Sara? Anyone? No?
I've done a lot of talking. I've probably exhausted everybody.
We're nearly at the hour, actually.
Well, I did have one little question.
Yes, go ahead.
Just like when you do start to date again, and like it is hard to trust then after going through separation, and I was just wondering if you had any tips for not doubting the other person and not kind of being jealous or insecure or whatever. Just that's all. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Really good question, thank you. Yeah, and this is normal. Okay, you're totally normal. Everyone feels like this. Yeah, if someone's cheated on you that you trusted, then obviously it's going to be hard for you to go back out and trust someone. There's nothing wrong with you. That is what's right with you. If you weren't feeling like that, then there'd be something wrong, because it's your body's way of protecting you from going through that pain again. So the important thing is to recognize that you need to not be trusting of everybody out there, because, as I said, there's going to be a lot of freaks and weirdos and people that are lying out there anyway. But what I would suggest is you just get out there and start practicing, and don't look for Mr. Right or Miss Right. Okay, don't go out looking for the love of your life. Go out looking for Mr. Right now or Miss Right now. Okay, and there's someone you can have a bit of fun with. You can have a flirt with, a banter, you can have a social distance walk. You're adults, you can decide what you want to do with this person, but it's not forever. It's just a bit of fun. So you don't need to trust this person. Again, don't open up, don't look at this person to complete you. Okay, it's just someone to have a friendship with or some fun with, to boost your confidence until you're ready. And that can take time. And also, I don't advise giving trust to people. I think people have to earn your trust. And I don't think that's an instant thing. I think that's part of the journey. Quite often with dating, people sort of rush in and think, right, I don't want to be alone anymore. I'm worried about my future. So this person and me, we can face it together and I don't have to worry about anything anymore. But that is just putting too much on one person. It's about, over time, they will prove that they're a decent person. They've got your back, that they are there for you, that they genuinely care about you. Nobody's perfect, so people are going to screw up from time to time, but it's up to you what you forgive and what you accept. I would suggest setting your boundaries out, given what you've been through already, to know that what is acceptable behavior for you. Okay, what is acceptable? Because is it acceptable that someone turns up half an hour late for a date? Might be for the first one, but what if it's consistently? Or what is it okay if someone lies to you? For me, if you lie once, you're out. There is that's it. No. I mean, you can tell me my bum doesn't look big in something, but that's about the only thing you can lie to me about. The rest, no, you're out. Like, what you've got to be very black and white on what your boundaries are. What I mean by that is what is acceptable behavior in a relationship. So if you've been in a relationship where the boundaries have been worn away, maybe it was someone cheated on you, or maybe they just weren't very kind to you over a period of time, your boundaries will be very low. Now, either that will stop you from getting in because you don't trust anyone, or you'll jump straight into something that isn't healthy. So I would suggest taking some time to work out what the acceptable behavior is, as well as doing that exercise that I talked about with the working out what you want and what you need, but then also 5 must not haves. It doesn't have to be 5, but up to 5. And they will be things like, maybe for you, if you've learned from the past, if someone's dishonest or they're unreliable or they lie, whatever it is for you, that would be on your list. So if someone showed any signs of that, you'd get out. So you wouldn't fall in love, or you wouldn't be too vulnerable, because you'd get out before. But the important thing is you take off your rose-tinted glasses, because what we do is we go into a relationship and we'll be like, oh yeah, they said that, but no, I don't really. I had a client who said on the first date, her boyfriend, who then was her husband, told her that his mum was always telling him he was really selfish. And she was like, oh, well, he can't be that selfish if he's telling me that. He must just be saying it because, he can't be. He wouldn't tell me. No one would tell you something that was wrong with him like that. So anyway, he was one of the most selfish people that she'd ever met in her life. And by the time she divorced him, that was one of the reasons. He was incredibly selfish and never thought about her. But she said, he told me that on day 1, but I didn't listen. So we have to listen to what people are telling us. When people tell us who they are, we have to believe them, okay? Because quite often we don't. And that's why we get ourselves into relationships that don't work. Sometimes we don't see it coming. Sometimes it's just not on the cards, and they meet someone through something and it just changes everything, and then, whatever. So you can't protect against everything, but what we can do is put safety nets in place. So we know what we accept, acceptable behavior is. If it doesn't happen, we're out, okay? If we've got our 5 must not haves, if any of those 5 must not haves show up, we're out. You see how that protects you a little bit from just falling straight for somebody and being too trusting? And they've got to earn your trust over a period of time, but don't let it stop you having fun. If you go in knowing that any of those things are negatives, you'll get out, and it's just going to be a bit of fun to boost your confidence, then you won't get into that situation, hopefully. And if you do, you can get out pretty quick.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've just noticed we're at time now, so thank you, Sara, for all of that really useful information. I know everyone on the call will have found that really insightful and valuable, and everyone listening back on the YouTube channel will as well. Before we go, could you tell us where we can find you online, please?
Yes, so I am saradavison.com. So thank you, Chris. Yes, saradavison.com, you can find me, or I'm hashtag or at Sara Davison Divorce Coach on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram, I do a lot, put lots of videos on for daily support and advice. If you want to become a divorce coach and you want to train with me, or you want to come on one of my virtual retreats, I'm running one starting in February, which is helping people cope with any kind of breakup. It's live webinars with me, and you also get my video program. There's a special news offer on that as well. You can go to my website, saradavison.com, and check those out.
Perfect. Thank you. The retreats sound really interesting, actually. Might check them out.
Yeah, do.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for your time, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Sara. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.